Yeah, Monday, um, March the 1st, 2021. So, the weather's kind of clear down here in Texas and doing pretty good. And we are enjoying the weather. It's, I mean, really, really, really nice. And it's uh, it's a good day, I think, to start thinking about buying some horses. Uh, right now, if you can get a good 2 year old for in the $900 to $1,600 range, and that's a little quarter horse. So you can put him in training for 90 days, give or take 200 a month. So it would be about $600 for training, kind of roundabout figure. And then when you get him trained, he's worth a little bit more than he was before you trained him. He'd probably be up in the $2,500 range. And so if you keep him a year and put a lot of miles on him, ride him every day, 3 or 4 miles every day, get him used to the saddle and reining. He's good looking. Buy a good looking colt to start with. Uh, he'll go up in value pretty quick. So when you get him up in roping condition where you can rope off of him, say he's a 3 year old, rope off of him, he's doing a pretty good job. Um, the price will go up around 5,000. So you can make money training horses if you get out there. If you got a place to work, that's the main thing. Is find a place that's got a good corral, good feed, and a training arena that you can work it out of. You take him out there and lope him around the arena and so forth. You want to keep him, uh, in a fenced area until you get him well trained, because you don't get out on the street with a wild bronc, because you don't never know what direction they're going to go really till you get them trained good. So you've got to figure out a way to buy a, a good horse trailer. Now these new horse trailers are going for somewhere around 5,500, and it's like a little 16-foot trailer that'll haul about, depending on how well you can pack them, but 3 to 4 horses. So you want to get the tall top trailers, and you want somewhere around 7 feet. You step up in the trailer and you're 6 foot tall. You got about 12 more inches of space above your hat. That's about what you want. They're building them a little bit shorter than that, so say 68 inches. Um, I think that's right, 68 inches. I don't want to get into them numbers. I need my calculator. But anyway, it's got the trailer. You got to step up in the trailer, and you got to be 6 foot tall, and you got to have about a foot of room above your hat for some of the horses. You don't want them bumping their head on the top of the trailer as you're driving down the road. So, how do you bridle, train a horse to rein? Um, I use this. I think you call it a bozal. Bozal. It's kind of a rawhide woven thing band that goes around the horse's front of the horse's nose and around the back of his throat. and you tie the reins on the back side of that thing. And what it does is bumps him on the nose when you get ready to move him. And if you neck rein, the rein's touching his neck, and he knows to turn. And the horse is real sensitive, so you don't want to jerk on their head. You don't want to pop those reins back on their nose. If you're real rough with the horse, I suggest you don't try training the horse, because you can do more damage in 5 minutes than most people can straighten up in 6 months if you don't know what you're doing. If you're jerking the horse around, you don't know what you're doing. So another thing is whooping the horse. Do not ever whip your horse to make them go faster or to make them turn around quicker or anything. Don't never whip your horse. Even if he tries to buck you off, don't get mad and get your lariat rope down and start whooping a poor horse. If you do that, you need to get out of the horse business, because you are not a qualified cowboy. You're not a cowboy if you whip your horse. Okay? So the thing about a good horse is a horse that listens to your commands. And he's alert, but he's listening for your next command. But you don't want to always keep your horse on the top level of paying attention. You need to allow your horse to relax and move out on his own, kind of when he wants to. When he gets ready to ease on out, don't start gouging them spurs in his ribs and jerking his head around like that and stuff. Don't even think about it. Let them ease off on. When they get ready, they'll just ease on off. And just kind of relax the reins. Have a little drop in your reins. Don't have them tight back like that. You gotta let him have free motion. And if he takes off in a little lope, let him lope a little bit. It won't hurt you. Just hold on to the saddle horn if you can't ride very good. Let him lope off. You gotta let your horse relax and enjoy the day the same as you want to enjoy the day. You can't push her. So it takes about 90 days for me to get a horse handling pretty good, load, unload in the trailer, and so forth. And that's another thing you got to be careful about, is not damage your horse's feet and legs when you're trying to train them to get in and out of the trailer. If you got to hook a lead rope to the bumper of your pickup and pull him in the trailer, you are not going about training him properly. You don't force the horse with the tow halter into the trailer. That is not training the horse to load in the trailer. You want to coach him to load in the trailer and persuade him to load in the trailer. But you want to do it calmly, in a calm fashion, and take your time about it. He don't know what you want him to do. When you go up there, slap him around on the face, on the head, and between the ears, and on the tail end, he don't know what you're wanting him to do. The only thing he's thinking is, I need to get out of here. I need to leave the area at a high rate of speed. That's what that horse is thinking. But if you're trying to get your horse to obey your wishes, you have to persuade them. And by that, I mean you have to let them know what you want them to do. And it might take you a while to show him. You just want him to get in the trailer, stay a little bit, and get him back out. So, if you're a beginner in the horse training business, just don't do anything that will hurt your horse or you. And take your time and try and show the horse what you want him to do. Now, another thing that I have tried in the past is put a little hay in the trailer. And if the horse steps up in the trailer and eats a bite or two of that hay, and then he backs back out, he gets used to getting in the trailer and getting out a little bit. So you just move the hay up a little bit further the next day and a bit further the next day, and pretty soon he'll just run up there and get him something to eat inside the trailer. Just run up in there and get him something to eat. Now, I can't guarantee that's a horse training plan. So don't be sending me any emails saying I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've got some ideas that might work and they might not work. And somebody might have some plans that actually work better than mine. But I don't know what they are. So I'm not here to explain somebody else's program because I don't know what works for them. What works for their program. Now, another thing is driving when your horse is loaded in the trailer. You have to take off easy. Don't jerk the trailer. The horse has to get in motion with the forward movement of the trailer. Believe it or not, he's got 4 feet, but he's still got to get in rhythm with the motion of the trailer. So that if you take off easy, you don't scare him and cause him to hurt himself inside that trailer. So you go slow and easy and you take off and you don't drive really fast, because if that trailer gets out of control, you don't want to have a wreck. You want to be able to stop easily, pull over and stop. Check all your tires, make sure they're aired up, make sure your trailer is still hooked up properly. Make sure your lock is on. It's got a lock on a 2-inch small trailer hitch. It's got a lock on there. Make sure it's locked in place. You don't want to lose your trailer and your horse. And don't haul him very far unless you have water available. You need to water your horse at least every 2 hours. See if he wants a drink. He may not even want a drink. That's fine. But you need to make sure that he's got water and he's standing up. And he's in good condition. You don't want to just keep driving not knowing what kind of condition the horse is in. You need to stop every once in a while and check him. So, where to buy a horse? Now, they have production ranch sales every year. Certain locations you have to look on the internet. You'll have upcoming horse sales. Write down the dates in the town. Try and make a live show. Buy you a horse. And the owner of these horses are usually pretty good people, and they're good to do business with. And whatever you do, don't write them a hot check, because you might want to go back next year and buy another horse, and you won't be welcome if you got checks bouncing from the year before. So if you go to a live sale, you'll have an opportunity to look the horses over, and you'll have an opportunity to talk to the owners, and they could pretty much give you kind of an idea of how the little horse is going to be, whether he's cool, collective, easygoing, or he's hot-headed and likes to run. Some people want to buy the horse that's hot-headed and likes to run. I do. I like a hot horse that you step on him and he's ready to go. That's the kind of horse I like. Some people want a horse they get on and he just stands there and waits for command. I want one that's just ready to roll. When I step up in that saddle, he's already taken off. I just let him go. I don't sit there and try and hold him back like that, make him turn around 15 times right there in one spot and jerk him around because he's wanting to go. I'll let him go. Just to get, step on him, let the horse ease on off. Now, I have traded saddles one time, and I put this new saddle. It was an old saddle, but new to me, and I threw it on the same horse that I had rode before. It's no problems. And as soon as I stepped up in the saddle and sat down, this horse went to pitching and bucking really, really tall and really hard, and pitching, bucking, and I'm up here riding like the rodeo clown says, "I'm a rodeo cowboy," blah 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 blah. And come to find out, the saddle was a factory-made Longhorn saddle, and they make a lot of saddles, but they don't make good saddles. So this saddle didn't fit the horse. The bars were the wrong angle, and they were too close together. So the saddle didn't fit down on his shoulders properly. And he didn't like that saddle, so he tried to buck. And so I had to spend about $1,800 and get another saddle. Got a new saddle, custom made right there in Hereford, Texas. This young man that was starting out in the saddle making business right there on the curve as you go under the underpass to leave Hereford on Highway 60. He had a little saddle shop right there in that little triangle before you get to the underpass to leave town on the free on the side of town, Hereford. So I worked at the feed yard out there on that little Y. Comes off of 60 and goes west. Worked at feed yard out there for I don't know, seemed like a few months. And I got that new saddle, and I had ordered, believe it or not, the wrong size seat in the saddle. I ordered a 15 and a half seat, and what he did was, we didn't really communicate very good. When you order a saddle tree 15 and a half inches, you wind up with a 15-inch seat saddle because it requires about a half inch of space to put the leather on the saddle tree. So I wind up with about a 15-inch seat saddle. And of course, I don't fit in there very well. I needed another half inch or so of space in that saddle for me to be comfortable. And I tell you what, it's an expensive lesson right there. It cost me $1,800 to get that custom built saddle. I couldn't ride it. I could not ride that saddle. So I took it to the cow sale. I think it might have been a horse sale, but anyway, I was at the auction ring. And I told this old boy that I kind of knew a little bit. I said, I got a brand new saddle for sale. Let me see it. He looked at it and he said, boy, I like that saddle. He said, I'll give you $800 for it. I said, you got cash? And he goes, yeah. I said, all right, give me $800. Well, I'm losing $800 because I give $1,600 for it. And this old boy was bigger than me. He was taller, he was wider, and he did not fit that saddle either. Next time I seen him, he said, "What? little bitty saddle. I said, yeah. You didn't ask me how big it was. You just said you wanted to buy it. So anyway, I decided that when I was going to start building some more saddles, I build them a little bit bigger, and so I could fit the saddle. So now I order a 15 3/4 saddle tray, and I wind up with about a 15 1/4 to 15 1/2 rideable seat in the saddle, and it fits me perfect. It fits me perfect. Wind up with about a 15 1/2 inch working seat, and what you do is measure from the top of the cantle, the round part back there. It's about 3.5 inches above the actual pad, and you measure all the way to where it bumps the front end of the saddle up there. Right behind the saddle horn is a little opening called a handhold. Right above that, you bump that front end, and that's the distance that they measure seat length from the top of the cantle to the front end. So it's kind of an average number. Some saddles have a different lean in the different lean on the seat, a different lean on the front end. Which, if it's leaning like that and it's 15 1/2 inches, I'm telling you right now, they can vary about an inch. So you have to know what kind of saddle tree design, what the ending of the actual space is going to be, and then how your legs are going to fit around the way they put the barrel on the seat, the downslope. It's complicated to try and get a saddle that really fits. You know what I mean? You have to have the right stirrup length. I got one saddle made, and the stirrups were about this much too short. The stirrups, I look like a clown sitting up in there with my knees up against the front end swells. I've told that guy 50 times to put the stirrup length 37 inches from the top center of the seat to where you step into the bottom of the stirrup. 37 inches. That's what I needed. Those were about 30 inches. Oh boy. So all them measurements go into the design of a new saddle. When you're getting a custom built new saddle, you better know what you're talking about when you give that saddle maker some dimensions, some measurements. You better know what you're talking about and where you're measuring from and to. Sometimes you have to explain what you're talking about so that they can understand how to actually build the saddle. In the same way with the size of the saddle horn. There's a lot of different saddle horns. There's a Guadalajara Mexican style saddle horn. It sits like this in the front end. It leans up downhill towards you, and it sits pretty low to the top of the cantle. The swells, and it don't have much room to wrap very many wraps around there because it's real short. It's real short down there. The post that you do the wraps on. So I always tell them I want a post horn, 3 1/4 inches tall, 2 1/4 inch around, and when they get the leather and everything on there, it's about nearly 3 inches around across. You measure across the top of it like that, 2 1/4 inches, and then when they put the leather and everything on there, the top on there, it's actually about 2 3/4 inches wide. So you have to know how to order these. The size of, there's a difference. You have to know how to tell them what size to order this saddle tree, so that you'll know what you're going to end up with when you actually get the saddle. The saddle is going to be different measurements than the saddle tree. It's complicated as hell, but you better study your lesson before you order something. Pay a couple of $1,000s for it. Oh boy. All right. You can't hardly see that. I put this little camera up here. All right, that right there is one of my saddles. I put a
alert from Google, password required
in the back. Brand in the back. As you can see, you can get them custom made any way you want them. You see those conchos on there? You have to pick out a set of conchos, and then do you want the leather strings? It's a regular ranch saddle right there. It's got what I call deep seat saddle. And you see those big D-rings on there. I think those are stainless steel. You see the bigger one in the front right there. And you got the wrap up there. That's called a Latigo Wrap on the horn. That's to protect your actual leather of your saddle. You can replace that little red wrap, Latigo leather. If it gets worn down, you can replace that little piece of leather, and your saddle will still be in good condition. So the cantle there, where you see the white lace running around the cantle, that is hand stitched by the saddle maker, and it's called the straight up cantle style. So you got a basket stamp on there on the front swell and on the back of the cantle, and I think they call that the housing. So that little trim he put up there in the seat, that little line that goes around, dot, he freehanded that little design up in there. Looks pretty damn cool. So anyway, this particular saddle right here will run you about $6,500. So when this saddle is sold, there's not another one like it in the United States or anywhere in the world. That's the only one like that saddle right there. If you get it, it's one of a kind. And if you don't like the saddle, if you do not like this saddle after you purchase it and you want to return it, I will pay you $1,000 more than you paid me for the saddle back. That's how much I think you'll like it. It's a guarantee. I think you'll like the saddle. So I think this one sets in at about 15 and a half inches in the seat, 15 and a half. Got a pretty tall cantle on it, probably 4 1/4, just guessing. And it's got the rope in front end on it. It's kind of rounded on the edges, and if you rope something, the rope will pop up over the front end on the sides there. It's got a nice little curve on the swells, wide enough gives you traction when you're standing up in your stirrups doing your roping. You got something to hold on to. So that's the reason you want to buy a saddle from me. You want to buy a good quality saddle. Okay. All right. I guess we're moving on to another subject here. You can nearly see that from over there, but the light kind of, the background in there is a little bright. The thing about it, a good saddle lasts, 20 years. So 20 years, they even last longer if you take care of them, keep them in a nice dry area, out of the rain and so forth. And then they got leather conditioner. It's not real harsh, and it's not real oily. You know what I mean? They don't cake on there, and then the dirt cakes on top of it. They've got some leather conditioner that you can spray on there and get, every once in a while, keep your leather and from getting real dry. You want your leather to all dry out, and you want to keep it conditioned a little long. And that's not very often. It's probably once a month or so. Give it a little oil down. Don't pour oil on top of it. Don't pour a gallon of oil on there and try to get it off. But have a little spray can or something and leather conditioner. So all my saddles come with a guarantee. If you buy one of my saddles and you don't like it, you get $1,000 more than you paid for it back when you return the saddle in good condition. That's how much I love my saddles. A lot of times you won't have the right horse. You'll say, well, the saddle don't fit my horse. Well, you got the wrong horse. You have to find a horse that fits the saddle. And a lot of these saddles will fit the 2 and 3 year old younger horses that are needing training. They'll fit those quarter horses very, very well. So the deal is, I build most of my saddles for the horses that's got a little bit of withers, and they're not big, flat, and wide. Finished roping quarter horse is not the kind of saddles that I build. They're built mostly for the younger horses that's got a little bit of withers, and they're not real wide. They're not like flat top. They've got little withers there, and the saddle fits right down on over those withers, and you don't bump the top of the withers, but it's not like up in the airline foot like a rodeo saddle. Rodeo bronc saddle, I've got one of those for sale. It's set up off the withers that far. It's because when that horse is going down, he don't want the saddle to be all the way real low. He wants the saddle setting up a bit so he's got something to hold on to when he's riding the bronc. These guys get hurt on that rodeo circuit too often. So I suggest you get a gentle horse and a straight saddle. Forget about the bronc riding stuff, because you can get injured so bad that you can't recover. And the best thing to do is just don't do it. Just don't go rodeoing and stuff, and just get you a job, just a good job somewhere. And still, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. You can get injured on that job. You got to stay away from them iron gates and not get hung up somewhere. You lean down to rattle that chain, that horse will jump out from under you. So you got to know the horse, and you got to, if the horse is a jittery type AAA like I like to ride, you don't want to reach down and rattle that chain on that gate. The horse will drift. He'll leave you in the dirt. I know from experience. Let's talk about neck reining. When you first get a horse, you can tug him to the left and tug him to the right, and he does not know what you want. So it's better if you've got somebody else to ride with, so that the little colt will follow the other horse and kind of get an idea what to do by watching the other rider and the other horse. That's how they learn the easiest way. Is don't have them there by themselves and try and make them learn to turn left, to turn right, because they don't know what you want when you first get up in the saddle. They don't have no idea what you're doing on their back. So you have to kind of show them a little bit of what's going on. Anyway, the reason I like to carry these right here is if you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you're riding along and you get attacked by coyotes, bears, black panthers, wild turkeys, hogs, you got this for protection. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Just go, "Oop, I'm in trouble." Anyway, you need to take some protection with you when you go riding. And thing about it is, your horses learn good habits and bad habits. So what I'm going to say is you got to be careful not to teach them any bad habits. One thing I don't like to do, I don't like to tie the horse's feet. I don't like to tie them down on the ground and scare the hell out of them with a damn blanket. Like some of these guys are crazy. They think they are horse trainers. They take the poor horse and cripple him up and cripple his front legs together, throw him down on the ground and run a blanket on top of him or something. I have no clue what the hell they're doing. All I know is that I don't think that's a good plan. And so you sure as hell don't tie them up. You put a halter on a young colt, you don't tie him up to where he can't get loose. The worst thing you can do is get your horse's neck broke the first week. If you buy a horse for $1,200-$1,400, and the first thing you do is tie him up hard and fast with one of those high-dollar nylon halters that don't break. What's going to break is the horse's neck is going to pop because he's scared, and when he can't get away, he goes to fighting that lead rope in that halter, and he will break his own neck trying to get away. So do not ever tie up a young horse that he cannot get away. If he jerks and runs, make sure that he is not tied to that fence. Now, if it's a pipe rail and you get the lead, you throw it over the pipe and you just toss it one more wrap, which is 2 wraps. That's got a little bit of hold on there. But if the horse gets scared and jumps back and runs backwards, that will unwrap and come loose, and the little horse won't hurt itself trying to get away. So you got to learn those techniques, or you'll injure your horses or somebody else's horse, and that's even worse if you injure another guy's horse and you have to go pay for him. You have to go pay the guy for the horse that you injured. It's going to get pretty expensive if you don't learn what you're doing to start with. So another progressive issue is stepping up in the stirrup after you've got the horse saddled and he's used to his saddle and you've eased him around and light little lope and let him get used to the saddle. It's time to mount the horse. Time to get on him. Don't tie his legs together and get him all crippled up. If he wants to run and play and buck a little bit, don't worry too much about it. Get a good handhold on the saddle horn and this time you want to try and hold his nose over towards you. Pull his nose over towards you and step up in the saddle, and he'll have a tendency to turn to the left. But he won't be able to go into a hard pitching buck right away if you've got his nose over towards you and you're holding a snug rein. And get up in the saddle good, get that right stirrup as quick as possible. And then release the pressure a little bit to where he's still going to the left as he's walking off. If he's one of the move out type colts, let him move on out and start walking and try and keep him in a left-hand circle. Let him keep walking around in this little circle. And then when he calms down or if he stops, let him stop. Let him think about what's going on and look around a little bit. And just try and take it easy. Getting started on these young colts. You don't want to spook them out and get them scared, because then their life will go haywire. Running and jumping and bucking and all this kind of stuff. You just hold on, try and stay in the saddle. Don't try and bail off of him. You just try and stay with him until he stops bucking. And then, it's like I said, if you've got another person there that knows how to handle horses, he's horseback, sometimes that little horse will follow the other horse. And you need to let him move around the arena like that. If another horse, kind of see what's going on. Hey, the other horse has a rider on there and he's going this speed and so forth. Now, if you get him riding, you want to try different speeds. Walk, trot, lope, gallop a little bit. Sometimes them horses want to gallop quite a bit. They want to go fast. You better have an exit plan at the backside of that arena. If you don't have any brakes trained on him yet, you might be in trouble. When you get to the end of that arena, that horse is going 30 miles an hour. You might be thinking, I should have trained him on the braking part. Touch, back up, back up. Easily. Don't jerk him. Just barely bump the reins, and when he backs up, release the pressure. When he backs up, release the pressure. Now, these guys will charge you I would say somewhere around, I don't know what they charge, $1,500, $2,000 for a how to train a horse program, where you go to their program and they teach you how to train a horse. I don't charge you nothing for letting you learn how to properly train a horse, because I care about these horses. I don't want them mistrained, misused, abused, and tortured because they don't have a clue what you're wanting them to do. You have to ease into the program. You have to give your horse time to learn what you want him to do, even turn around. The horse has to learn that when you pull on the rein a little bit, he's supposed to turn around. you have to give him time to learn that. If you go to jerking on him and he's trying to turn and you're jerking on him, that hurts. It hurts his nose and his head up there, and he's thinking if that guy wants me to turn left, it's going to hurt. So I'm not going to turn left. He's a smart horse. He's not going to incorporate it unless you go easy, slow. Then he'll learn that when he turns left, you release the pressure. He'll learn a lot faster and easier to turn left with a little bit of motion and give you the performance you're looking for without all the jerking and jabbing. So you can be a whole lot better horse trainer pretty quick if you listen to everything I tell you. So you get him. A horse does not naturally back up. So what I'm going to tell you is, don't start off with thinking that you can get your horse to back up 20 miles an hour, like you're going to rope the calf and you want him to back up 20 miles an hour. It's going to take a year to learn that horse in a professional manner that he's supposed to back up when you get the calf roped. I've seen those guys come off them calves and they're jerking on that rope and popping that rope, and the poor horse is scared to death. He's backing up. His head's up there like this, and he's in trouble. I'm in trouble. You can see it in his eyes. This guy's put the fear of God in his horse several times because he didn't back up to suit him. He didn't keep the rope tight when he was trying to tie the calf. So these guys are not trained. The guys are not trained to know how to handle a horse. And somebody needs to get them by the collar and slap them around a little bit and tell them, hey, that ain't the way to train a horse. You know what I mean? That ain't the way to train a horse. So, progress on lariat rope and roping. You've got to be careful not to rope a stationary object, and you've got the rope in your hand. You can get in big trouble if that horse moves out on you. You've got this rope in your hands, and the rope is on a solid object in there somewhere. Like you rope a post or something. Don't do that. Don't rope a solid object like a post and have the other hand over here. It's possible to get in a wreck. So don't rope a solid object of any kind. Don't rope no big steer, big cow. As you go to put a wrap on the saddle horn, you make sure this thumb is up here, not down here. You walk around like this, or like this. You keep your fingers out of that wrap. Keep your fingers 5 or 6 inches from that saddle horn as you take your wrap. And then you pull a little bit of slack up like here. So the calf pulls this slack down that horn. You've got time to hold it or just release it and let the calf go with the rope. Don't get in a bind where that you're going to be looking like this before long. This, that. You don't want no nub up here trying to rope. You got to protect yourself, your horse, and don't rope no 1,000-pound cows. You got to be a real experienced cowboy to rope a big, heavy steer calf. Like those guys rope those big steers and throw them to the ground. Tripping, they call it tripping. They ride past calf somehow and the rope trips on them, and then they drag them for a little ways, and then they jump off the horse. The horse is taking off, the calf is dragging down there. They jump off the horse and run back there and tie him up. I guarantee you, I do not want to train on. I do not want to be training for that job. It's a dangerous job. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not really talented, you can get hurt. Your horse can get hurt, and the cow can get hurt. So you need to be kind of qualified and bona fide before you start steer jerking them steers down, especially by yourself and trying to tie him up by yourself. That's an experienced cattleman right there that does that job. Kind of like those steer wrestlers. They jump off their horse on a live animal. It's got horns sticking up, looking at you. You're jumping on top of these horns, and you're grabbing hold of this steer calf that is pretty healthy and pretty heavy. And then you got to twist his head around after you get him slowed down, because their feet are out in front of you, pushing up dirt. They're trying to stop this big calf. And then you got to twist his head around and turn around like a certain way, throw the calf to the ground. Because steer wrestling, that's another job I do not want to attempt. Jump off of a perfectly good running horse at 30 miles an hour and try to land on top of a wild steer with horns going about 30 miles an hour. I'll tell you what, these guys are talented that can do that kind of rodeo, and it amazes me. So let's talk about distance. These young colts at 2 years old, they're not really physically able to carry you very far, very fast. What you got to do is take it easy on these young colts. And you want to gentle them down and get them used to the saddle and so forth, but you don't want to override them. I mean, say the next town is 10 miles over. And you're thinking, I'll ride him over there and get a hamburger, vanilla shake, and then I'll ride him back. That's 20 miles. That little horse will not make it all the way over there and all the way back. You'll either ruin the little horse or cripple him. So don't take on that kind of trips. I'll say when he gets up around 3 years old, you can kind of walk him 20 miles if you have to. Going to town and back is 10 miles. When they're about 3 years old and you've got some easy miles in training for the last year, 2-year-olds, 3-year-old. And when they get to be 4 years old, they're basically ready to start learning how to rope calves in a professional type manner, because they're pretty much grown, got their muscle package put together at age 4. So what you want to do if you're an experienced cowboy, you really are like wanting a roping horse, start at about 4-year-old horses to pick you one out for your finish him out in the roping, training the way you want him to be trained as a rope horse. He has to learn your techniques. So get a horse around 4 years old that's got a good handle, and you like his attitude. You have to ride him a little bit to see if you like the horse's attitude, the way he rides it, if you like the way he moves out and so forth, because you want a roping horse that you can ride. So that's the reason you pay $15,000 for a good 4-year-old quarter horse. It's because you want one that will perform when you get ready to do your rodeoing. And You might even find one for $5,000, but you'll be lucky if you can get a fast enough horse to catch those fast cattle. Um, I'm just guessing the price is probably closer to 15,000. So if you are buying a horse that costs 3,500, he's probably not fast enough for you. Now you might get lucky and find a park racehorse, for less money that's fast enough to get there. But will he have a level head on him to back up and hold the calf? You got to be careful what you buy. So if anybody has an idea that they would want to train horses, let me tell you something. You've got to ease in there and get their attention gradually. And then put a halter on them and you walk them around. You walk them around. Don't tie them hard and fast. Get them used to you being there. And do not whip the horse. Do not slap the horse. Do not jerk on the horse. You have to slowly walk off and start giving him a little lead rope, because he's not going to be right behind you because he don't know what you want yet. So you give him a little bit of lead, but pull on him gently. And by the time you get to the end of that lead rope, that horse should be following you a little bit. So anyway, it takes a while to get the horse to know or have an idea what you're expecting him to do. So you got the guys with the whip and the jerk and the whip, and they end up with a disturbed horse. The poor horse is disturbed because he gets his ass whipped and he gets his nose jerked around several times, and he the only thing he's thinking is, when do I get back to the hay barn to get a bite of alfalfa hay? Because this is hell in here in this arena. Now, if there's anybody out there that's got some good horses and they want them trained, professionally trained, you guys subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a message on your channel, and that you want some horses trained. And we'll get this figured out. Because right now I have an opening for one horse. And it's got to be a good horse. He's got to be solid 2-year-old and not messed with. If anybody else has messed with that horse and he bucks and he jerks and he runs off and he won't load in the trailer, I don't have time to mess with trying to straighten up somebody else's work that they didn't know what the hell they were doing. So it's going to cost you $2,000 a month for me to train your horse. $2,000 a month. If I keep him 3 months, you'll be able to pull in there with your trailer, open the door, and you'll jump in there. You can throw your saddle on him, ride him off. You can back him up, turn him around. You can lope him off. 3 months. That's what I need. I'll take care of him. I'll feed him. I'll house him. So it's just the way it is. want somebody to train your horse that's not going to be pounding, whooping, jerking, jabbing, getting the front end loader and pushing him in a trailer. These people will try anything. They don't know what they're doing. You're going to come back and pick up a wrecked horse. He's going to be scared. He's not going to want to get in your trailer. You're going to get the saddle out of the barn, start toward him. He's going to run. You got to be careful who you let mess with your horses. If you guys out there that's got some high quality young colts and you want them trained, try and get a hold of me. So I've been on here 1 hour and 58 seconds, and that's what I usually run, 1 hour. So if you're watching this anytime past March the 1st, (2021), this is no longer a live feed. But this video is monitored by me, and if I get any sign in underneath my videos, I can actually answer you back if you have any questions in the future. I watch my videos. I watch and see if anybody's interested in making notes, asking questions, or whatever on the little chat things. Sometimes it's available to add chat on the bottom of the videos. So I've got a little bit to learn on how this is set up. I know that right now, if you were here today on March the 1st, 2021, if you were here, we are live right now on live. You could type in Cowboy Music Studio over here. Type in hello or something. So, how is the training of the QUART horses going? I train quarter horses. I don't mess with any other breeds. I don't mess with any other breeds. If you got a quarter horse, he can't be real tall. I don't want a horse over 15'2", just a little bit, 15'3" max. I don't want a great big tall horse. I don't want a horse that's flat and big around like a barrel. Got to have a little bit of withers. Somewhere around 1,000 pounds. Nice little horse. It's got a little bit of go to him. He's got good solid feet. Got a little bit of sense about him. Anyway, subscribe. I think there's a subscribe spot somewhere on here, and the next time I'm going live, there'll be a little bell that rings up there somewhere. Click on that little bell. Also, I think you got to hit the little bell to be reminded of when I might be on here live again. You can use this live chat over here to say hello or whatever. You can also leave a little note. Training is going well. My training session is going well, thanks to you. I appreciate any compliments you can put on there. If you got some bad things you want to say, I appreciate it if you will not put them on there. I don't need any bad comments. I mean, it's a tough life out here. I sure don't need nobody pushing me around, bad mouthing me or whatever. Just need some good friends around me that's got a lot of money so we can train some horses and make some money. You can make some money with a good horse, and I can make some money training them. So there you go. We're going to hope we get some subscribers in this video. People that are interested in good horses. And see if I find something real quick. Okay, that's the live page. I don't see my video on there. They may not be letting me on. It says live stream, but I don't think they're letting me on the page for some reason. I have to check into this. Make sure. Probably why we don't have any customers on here right now is because we're not actually on the live stream. Okay, we can't get on there right now. Can't get on there right now. There's just too many passwords and too many things that you got to have in your ducks in a row. It's hard for me to remember passwords when I'm in the middle of a project, like trying to do this video here. Still, the holster is a little bit tough. Put some wax in that holster to make this thing work easier getting in and out. That holster. Notice it's got a little bit of screw right down in here. I ain't real sure what that does. This holds this barrel in place. This is the thing right here. Right here. That pushes the shells out. This is your area right there where you can see the bullets in there. You twist that barrel just a little bit, and those bullets will slide right out. This opening right here. Right here. And that's where you put them back in there. You twist the barrel around a little bit and push in 5 rounds. And you flip that back closed. Cock her back, squeeze the trigger. That's it. You can't just squeeze the trigger because these are single action 45s. So you have to cock this hammer back and then squeeze off around. You can knock a beer can down at about 50 yards. One of these. You can knock an iron target about the size of a round 300 yards with this. I've done it 300 yards. Yes, sir. 300 yards with this right here. Well, you're crazy. You can't even see around 300 yards. Well, you can see a little spot down there, and you know that's where it's at. The guy with the scope and the rifle next to you over there, about 20 foot over, he's watching for you. Low, left, high, fourth shot. I didn't see any dust flying. He said you hit the target. Fourth shot with this, 300 yards out. That makes for a great day when you only use 4 rounds and get your target. All right. So, oh yeah, I'm looking for a small ranch that has water, a house, electricity, furniture, and a corral, a little barn to put supplies in, feed for the horses, and a little um, arena to train horses in. I need a training facility that is in a good location so where you don't have to drive 40 miles across a ranch to get there. In other words, it's pretty close to a major highway so that I can get in and out easy with the horses. I don't want to have to trail 3 hours through the brush to get to the to the cabin. But anyway, I want a facility that somebody will let me use. Hopefully, you won't charge me anything per month, per week, or per year. You'll just let me use your facility, and I'll train some horses there through the summer. And if it's further enough south where the winter don't get too bad, I'll train horses through the winter. So it's got to be Texas, South Texas somewhere, to where I can train horses year round. And that's what I need. I need a place to call home. I can put my little name across the top of the gate, overhead gate that you drive into my little ranch. My name up there. So subscribe to my channel, and got a place like that available. I need a place to train horses. So hopefully this is 2021, March the 1st. So we've got to find something pretty soon. The summer is going to come and go pretty quick. I've got to have a place to work. If anybody out there will oblige me, I need a cabin, training arena, some stalls, indoor, outdoor, preferably, and a barn to put the feed in to keep the feed dry. You cannot feed your horses wet, rained on hay. You say, well, horses are colicking. Colic? Yeah, they're colicking because you're feeding them wet, rained on hay. You cannot feed your horses wet, rained on hay. Oh my God, these people, I don't know where they come from, but they don't know a damn thing about keeping animals. It seems like they're the ones that's got the 20 acres in the corral, and the horses are the ones that don't know how to feed them properly. You cannot feed your horses wet, rained on hay. Okay. Well, I guess I probably irritated enough people on my video today, so hopefully we'll get some subscribers and continue on our conversation about horse training and how to train them. And then get into next video. I'm gonna try and get into showing you how to load the horses in the trailer, how to train your horse to load in the trailer without you getting out your broom and your extra pickup with the rear bumper, pulling him in there, trying to pull him in the trailer with another truck or something. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's about it.